give examples maybe later. Just hope I don't forget. I'm a very forgetful person. Okay, sorry. Um, Now, I think everybody has to put in mind when we say we want to create knowledge, right? This, what we mean by creating knowledge, is we have to give a new thing, especially when you are doing a PhD. So that new thing, it can be a very, very, very small thing, small contribution is fine, as long as you are giving something new. And this to create knowledge is not now, okay, I'm going to put them into two categories. Whether whether you can have something new on methodology. Okay, a new methodology. A new methodology doesn't have to be like a very big thing. For example, if you just from literature you have a lot of models, and then you just add in one more variable that is not in any of the literature. Okay, that is also can be considered as a creating a new knowledge, right? Because you want to see whether that particular variable which is you include, which is maybe you think is suitable to your context, because of the country, or maybe some, for example, sometimes people put in like religion a lot. I understand why people don't put religion, because it's very, very difficult to measure. But if, let's say, you are trying, it is an attempt, it's also okay, to have an attempt to and you put it in, so that can also be considered as creating a new knowledge. And why it is considered as important to have or to conduct this academic research. Yeah? Because this research, whatever you call a research, be it a scientific or maybe a social sciences based, like what we are, okay, it's our field, right? We don't create new thing or new products, but actually we are trying to having more knowledge, to add to more knowledge, because it can enhance development and also growth, eh, to yourself, to your country, to your religion, and so on. And how academic research is done, right? This one we call a scientific method. Why we call it scientific method? Because it has its own way. It has its own what we call apa ya, uh, the uh,
Cara,
how to say it? No, no,
cara.
bukan settings to the template. All right, okay. It has its own template. The template means what needs to be in there have to be in there. Uh, it's just that but it's not going to be exactly the same. That is based on your creativity, but how you want to put in is based on your creativity. But what has to be in there have to be in there. So normally that's why it's called a scientific method, so that, sorry, so that uh, just to ensure, yeah, just to ensure the objectivity is kept at all times, meaning that we have to be very, very focused, and we know what we are doing, and we are giving answers uh, to what we want to find out. All right, now I think this is also important for me to mention. All right. What actually needs, what actually is needed to write a good academic research? Okay, I have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 that I list down here. Can I ask the audience? Okay, now what is now I have who I have here. I have several people here I can see Danny Purnomo. So, Pak Danny, can you tell me, right, which one of all these 11 do you think is the most important thing from these 11? We have, like, for example, do we need a good grades? Do we need a genius? Do we need money, writing skills, patience, determination,
Okay.
dedication, prior knowledge, creativity, consistency, and humble self? Now, which one do you think among all is the important one?
I think the one is for me is consistency.
Consistency, good.
Yes.
Well, it doesn't have to have one, maybe you can have a few, right? Which few that you think is the most important? So you think consistency. Can I
Yes.
know? Okay, Pak Danny, right
Yes.
now what are you doing? What are you
Uh,
studying?
I'm graduation from Magister Management Unsud, Jenderal Soedirman University.
You have graduated?
Yes, I'm graduated.
Okay, that's good. Okay, so meaning that you already had the experience, right?
Yes.
You already had the experience.
Yes.
So
Thank you.
for you to anyway, congratulations. So do you
Thank you.
mean the consistency is important for you to finish your study?
Yes, I think this is very important to me to finish my study.
Right. Okay, thank you, Pak Danny. So anybody
You're welcome,
else?
sir.
All right.
Yes.
Anybody else who wants to give their opinion?
Mm, maybe it's not.
Okay. Okay then. Okay. Terima kasih ya Pak Danny ya.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Anybody else who wants to say something or to want to give your idea?
We have one offline student.
Okay, that's good.
Let's speak up.
Okay, hello.
Yes, yes, I can hear you.
Okay, I want to say creativity. This is one.
Creativity. Okay,
Yeah.
that's good. May I know what are you doing right now? I mean, are you studying over there?
So let me introduce myself. So my name is Adnan. I'm a Ph.D. student in management at Jenderal Soedirman University.
All right. Okay, that's good. Adnan, which year are you now?
I'm my second year.
Second year. Can I
Yeah.
know what is the development right now? Or what are you doing right now? Which
So
level?
so my concentration is marketing, and I'm in the phase of like the first step of writing my thesis, which we call it the colloquium.
Right. So have you finished with your proposals?
Not yet.
Okay. Okay. So it's all right. So meaning that you are in the right classes. I mean, so because my concentration is actually in trying for the first three chapters. We are just talking about the first three chapters, chapter 1, 2, and 3. But I'm concentrating more on the problem statement because
Yeah.
I believe a lot of students are having difficulties in writing a good problem statement. All right. So besides creativity, what more do you think, Adnan? The
Uh,
second important,
I would say passions.
patience. Patience.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
you have to be patient, huh? All right. Thank you, Adnan. Can I ask somebody else? Uh, Anybody else who have a different view? Oops, sorry. Anybody else who have a different view? I'm then it's I need somebody. I don't know why you guys think that being, good grades or being a genius, is important. Mm, well, I think, and that's also one thing I put here, money. Well, I think money is also important, of course. Well, actually, all the things that I put in here is important in order for you to finish your study. If you don't have money, you will have trouble, because I have students that are self-sponsored, and a lot of them are troubled and having difficulties to finish their study, because they also have to find their own money at the same time, have to work, maybe work harder than the others, and who are being sponsored. But anyway, of course, some of you can, if you already, but the money can also become the incentive, because most of our self-sponsored students trying very, very hard to finish in 3 years, and most of them do. They can finish in 2.5 years, and then straight away after that, just waiting for the viva. The viva will take about another 2 to 3 months, and another 2 to 3 months for them to do the correction. All right. So the money, even if you don't have money, it can becomes also one of your incentive to finish on time. And I believe, of course, this is also from my observation and also from my experience. Some people who are seriously very genius, if you are too genius, maybe you can't, it can't guarantee that you can finish your study. Some of them, when you have your own thinking and very strong, sometimes it is also very hard for you to accept other people's opinion. So that's the problem of the geniuses that I encounter actually in my life. Um, but one thing about writing skills, yeah, for me, I have a student right now, uh, which is giving me as a supervisor a pretty hard time, because of not very good writing skills. So me and the second supervisor have to do more work, because we have to uh, tell him how to write, the right way to write, even the languages. But the languages is fine because you can send it for proofreading later. But the way you write, how to convey your idea and messages, is also quite important. But of course, for me, if you're dedicated, means you want to put your study ahead of anything else, that's dedication. Of course, it can help you to finish and maybe finish on time. And what I'm saying about why I put this one is the humble self. This one is from me, not from any books. Now, this one, because I found that two of my colleagues, and this is from my colleagues, two of my colleagues, they cannot finish their study because they likes to believe that their thoughts, yeah, is correct. So they have a conflict with the supervisor. So this is where you have to put down a little bit of your pride. When you become a student, when you become a student, even though you have, maybe some of the students have a very good background, they already become big managers or uh, holding a very big post back home. But right now, you have to put yourself in the shoes as a student. So you have to put down yourself a little bit, your pride a little bit, and to listen to your supervisor. I believe I think Bu Wiwit will agree with me. As a supervisor, we want all of our students to graduate, if possible, graduate on time and get your degree. Okay, we're not, our job is actually to guide you until you finish your study. Nobody as a supervisor wants to see the students failed. Yeah, so I think this is something that everybody should put in mind as a student. For me, patience is I had this experience. Yeah, for those who cannot finish on time, finish on time. Some of you might have your, everybody is having their own difficulties. When you have the difficulties, yeah, while doing your study, while during the study, okay, you seriously need this patience. I can also see a lot of my colleagues, yeah, in UUM, who cannot finish in 3 years time. They give up after that. Okay, so if you have the patience to just go on, even though slowly, eh, you can still finish it. For me, I salute those people who can finish it even though they takes about 5 to 6 years or maximum 7 years. Because for me, that is more, it's actually harder, yeah, for those people to keep going after a lot of people have given up after 3 years. Yeah, but if you still have that patience and still going on, yeah, inshallah you can finish it, even though it's a little bit late. It's fine actually. It's part of the life experience. Okay. And maybe the next one that I'm going to talk about, okay, how are you going to start a research? Um, this is because a lot of, especially because my area is economics, right? So a lot of students in economics, are doing a research that needs only to use secondary data. Okay, so a secondary data means the data is available. Okay, you just have to take the data, the right, of course, from the right sources. And when you do this type of research, using a secondary data, people in finance, people in economics use a lot to do with that type of research. They always starts, yeah, they always starts with determining what type of methods to use. Now, for me, that is seriously a wrong way to start. A very, very wrong way to start. Okay, that's why from the beginning I emphasize on creating a knowledge. Why? Because actually you have to start a research from curiosity. Uh, Meaning that apa? Ingin tahu, perasaan ingin tahu. Now the curiosity should be a start for you to do a research. And the curiosity can comes from maybe when you read news, watch TV, from the news, or read newspapers, or from your observation, or maybe from your own experience. For example, sometimes when you go to the supermarket and then suddenly you experience a very bad experience while buying groceries or buying a shirt or things like that, and you are wondering why you are having that bad experience. So you want to know why people didn't do something like what you were saying. Why, for example, why we should line up to buy, and they only open up one counter, only one counter, and you have to line up for about half an hour to pay, even though they have other counters but they didn't open up, for example. So you are curious on how all these big market make decisions on how when to open another counter, for example, how they know when is the peak time that they should open more counters, for example. I'm just giving you an example. So that's from your own experience. You want to know further, eh? You know further. And from current situation, I believe, for example, like right now, we are having a very, very difficult time in the pandemic time. There's so many things happen because of the current situation. For example, what happened to those who are having a small businesses? mm, how it impacted them, how impacted them, and what should the government do to help them, in what sense? Okay, maybe from history you can also know there is, this is not the first pandemic. So because in the world things are actually happening in cycle, in cycle. Okay, things that happens maybe 100 years ago happen again now, and things like that. So from all this should be how you start uh, your research. How? From your curiosity to find out more. Okay, and of course you have to have that patience, that passion to try to solve that problem, to try to solve the things that lingering in your mind, why it happens, and what is the impact, what can be done to make it better, for people's life. So this is actually the way for you to start a research. It's not like you're saying, okay, I got a data, and then I just want to use the data to do a research. That can also be a way, actually, but then you will have some difficulties when it comes to coming up with the problem statement. Uh, because I encounter students having that type of problems. They already determine the data, they already determine the method, then only they want to create issues or problem from that data and from the method. That's but now I think I did mention here. Okay, now let's go to how to choose a title. uh okay, even though for me myself, my original title is a little bit different from the end result, but you have to have that title for you to become like a guidance, to guide you on how you're going to write the first part, the first 3 chapters. It's going to be, because you have to go back and look at the title, whether the title is suitable with the content of the first 3 chapters. So how I do this is actually, most of the time we have, because from economics it's easier because it's a discipline. For example, I said, now which area that you want to concentrate on. Okay, because economics have two broad area, we call microeconomics and macroeconomics. Some of you are very comfortable with microeconomics, and maybe some of you are comfortable with macroeconomics. Yeah, so like me, I'm more comfortable with microeconomics, looking at very small things, rather than the macro. Macro is maybe looking in terms of a country or from the nation's perspective. Now, from microeconomics, for example, I took microeconomics or even macro. We have several more fields in economics. For example, poverty is one of them, right? Or regional economics or international. So international most of the time is a macro lah, looking at macro level, or labor economics. Now labor can also be in terms of micro or macro, micro or macro for labor. Environment most of the time is micro, but we can also look in the macro level, but it's going to be pretty hard because we are having difficulties with data for environmental economics. And also health. It can be micro, it can be macro. What determines micro and macro normally is because of this one. I call this, hold on. I call this, wait, this thing is actually, I just closed down the all the the videos. Now, what determine whether it's macro or macro is actually your target players, the target players. For example, if your target is to know about household behavior, so this one definitely a micro. If it is about companies, it can be a micro, it can be macro. A country, definitely a macro. Government can be micro, can be macro, right? So if you, that going to be your target, who you going to analyze. And more, for example, I'm giving you, then you will go narrower, from broad. Okay, for example, okay, you're doing something on economics, okay, then you choose whether you want to do a micro or a macro. And then from micro, we have a lot of field. So I take example like environment. Okay, so that is a narrower field if you are saying compared to economics, right? Environmental economics. So okay, we know that you want to do something that related to environment, but even though so, there is still, from the environmental economics, there is also still a broad. Environmental economics is still considered very broad because there are so many things to cover in environmental economics. For example, here, do you want to see about the pollution? Or is it forestry? Is it energy? Or is it fisheries? We have several more. I'm just giving you an example. Okay. And for example, let's say you take here, the number 4 here, a more detailed one, pollution. Okay. From micro, go to environment, and then you take pollution. Okay. Just one part of environment, pollution. And even in pollution, it's still broad. Okay, you want to narrow it down. For example, from pollution, what type of pollution? Is it air pollution, water pollution, or noise, or is it the landslide? Okay, that is all also part of pollution. So you have to decide. Okay, then only you are more focused now. Doing a research, you have to be very focused and doing a very small thing but detailed. You can't do something like you were saying, okay, you want to see the pollution, the impact of pollution to Indonesia, for example. To Indonesia, that's going to be, you are covering all types of pollution if that's how you put the title in. Okay, if you put the title, you want to see, find out the impact of pollution to Indonesia, for example, or to the GDP of Indonesia. So meaning that you have to take into consideration all types of pollution, So I think it's going to be, you can do that, but meaning that you're going to touch all of the pollution just on the surface, not very very detailed. For me, that's not a very good way of doing a research, yeah. And okay, so I come to how to raise issues, right? You're going to raise issues. Now, this is related to the problem statement, to raise the issues, right? One, the way I see it, one, it has to be related to the topic or to the title. So that's why I said the title is important. Okay, the title is important because it will determine how you're going to raise the issues in your problem statement, right? So the way I always do the problem statement, okay, because the problem statement has to have connection with the introduction. It has to have connection with the introduction. So normally I will start the introduction with the broad perspective. From the broad perspective, that's going to be in the introduction. From the broad perspective, okay. And then this one, normally, how you going to raise the issue? It has to do something with human, because all of us in the social sciences are actually trying to study the behavior of human, right? The study of human. Oh, well, organization is also human because it cannot just be an organization. It's not just building, isn't it? It's the people who are in the organization that we want to study on. So we have to relate to the interests of either a consumer or an organization or a society or a country or a nation. Okay, as if you realize this is all to do with people, you have to mention what are the issues related to human, the study that you want to do, right? And then only number 4, accept if you are doing a fundamental research. Well, a fundamental research is a research that you are only concentrating and focusing on the methodology. For example, methodology is something like if you want to only test the theory without taking consideration the real world situation, only about specific theory, you can do that. That is called a fundamental research. Now, most of us, it's quite difficult actually for you to do a fundamental research. For a PhD, you can have an attempt, but somebody will do it in a very, very small area. Because most of the time you will have to do simulation rather than finding data if you want to do a fundamental research. If you are doing fundamental research, then you will raise the issues with the current method or the current theory. It depends on what do you want to do, right? Maybe some those who are good with mathematics, you want to concentrate on econometrics, the methods used. Maybe you were saying there is, of course, all type of methods, all types of methods for analysis have weaknesses. So maybe if you can see what are the weaknesses and you try to solve that weaknesses, a very small weaknesses is fine. Okay, then you can do this fundamental. So those are very good with statistics, and mathematics can do that. Right. And this one is also depending on universities. I know that for some universities in Malaysia, like USM, they already give you a guideline. The problem statement part should only be 1 page. Should only be 1 page. For us in UUM, and also when I was studying in the UK, they don't have that guideline. Okay, it's just that normally, okay, a norm. What a norm is, if it's like more than 10 pages, most of examiners will say it's too long. Will say it's too long. So the problem statement part, it cannot be too long. And for me, 1 page is too small. But if you want to do it in 1 page, now you have to mention everything in detail in the introduction. So what you do in the problem statement is just a summary in your own words of what are the issues that you say, because you cannot give in detail in 1 page. So you give the detail in the introduction part. Right? And of course, your problem statement should end that with a research question. Now, why I put it like this? Because I want you to see that actually everything is connected. You know, everything that you write in your thesis is actually connected from the first page until the end, until the final page. It should be one story. So I always tell my students, okay, how you're going to write is you have to think about, if you are a director to make a movie, a drama, what you need to concentrate on is the storyboard, the plot, the storyboard, how the story going to be for your thesis. So you have to, like, how are you going to introduce your topic, and then go to what are the issues and what your objective you're trying to answer, and then, okay, what type of methods that you use to answer those problems or issues, and then you will only say, this is what I found out after, okay, I use the method to answer the objective. Okay, that's it. That's it. It's just that sometimes, because it takes quite long, for a PhD, well, it's supposed to be more than 200 pages, definitely. Okay, for PhD, it takes about 200 pages. For masters by research, it might take about 100 to 150 pages. Yeah? Well, more than 100 is good enough, yeah, for master's students. But to write that very large page number, so sometimes you got lost, while writing, it deviate from the storyboard. Okay, so that's what happened when we said, okay, we cannot see the connection, for example. Okay, so that's where the creativity comes in. Okay, for you to create a story which is very nice for us to read. Okay, so sorry. Right, now I'm going to give you some example on how I will create the problem statement. The first one, here I give like 2 example on how I narrow it down to the problem statement from the introduction up to the problem statement. Right, the first one, as you can see, the first one, the title, right? This is the title of the research. Visitors' willingness to pay for an entrance fee, a case study of marine parks in Malaysia. Oh, this is actually my own work. Yeah. This is my own work. Okay. As you can see, from the title, you already know. Okay, you already know that this is a very micro. I'm studying just on the marine parks in Malaysia. Okay, just on marine parks in Malaysia. And who's involved here? Who's involved is the visitors, the tourists, right? Visitors mean the tourists who visit the marine parks, right? So, okay, this already from the title itself is already giving you an idea of what this research is all about. What this research is all about. So, may I can even do it here, but it's going to be very small. Can I use OneNote? Um, uh, can you guys see this? My OneNote. Sorry, because OneNote is there's always one. Sorry, can you guys see this?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you see this? Okay. All right. Good. Now, please don't mind my handwriting. Yeah, my handwriting is seriously very bad. Okay. So let's say right now, if the title, I write down back the title. Oh. Dahulu tepi willingness to pay. Okay, a case study of marine parks in Malaysia. Okay, so here, now how are you going to raise the issue in the problem statement from this topic? Okay, from this topic, right? How are you going to raise the issue? So our main concern here is about the willingness to pay for entrance fee. So the entrance fee is actually what we are going to find out, right? The willingness to pay for the entrance fee, right? That is what we are trying to find out. So from here, the way I do it, okay, in the introduction, okay, how are you going to introduce? So in the introduction, you can start with, okay, the tourism industry. Okay, now you know that these visitors mean tourists. Okay, visitors mean tourists. So I start with a very broad perspective of tourism industry. I start with tourism industry in the world. Okay, this is to show the importance of our topic, right? You mentioned about, okay, tourism industry is a fast growing industry in the world, and that's to show it is important for us to study this, right? And then narrow it down in your introduction, okay? The flow, I'm telling you about the flow of how you're going to do it, right? Start with what the tourism industry in the world, and then narrow it down into the tourism industry in Malaysia. Okay, so this is how you do it, and to have a very nice flow. Okay, to have a very nice flow, start with tourism industry in the world, and then tourism industry in Malaysia. Okay, of course you will mention like there are many types of tourism, right? And one of it is the using of the marine parks, right? So you will mention about all this. If you have data, of course you have to, this one, of course, support with data. Okay, support with data. Okay, this is also support with data. and the type of tourism. Mention all the type of tourism, and one of it is marine parks, and mention about how many tourists, you know, the total or the number of tourists to Malaysia, to marine parks in Malaysia, for example. Okay, just to show that actually visiting marine parks is also an important type of tourism in Malaysia. And this is all to mention that actually we want to show the importance of our topic. All right, now, so this will take a few pages already. Okay, this will take a few pages of the introduction. And then when you want to go into your problem statement, okay, so how I raise my problem statement is, okay, now marine parks, if you, I believe you guys know about, parks is a place where the government gazetted it as a place that we're going to dilindungi, right? We're going to protect these places, right? For example, we have like Taman Negara. Oh no, that's in Malaysia. I don't know about. Now, can I ask? Anybody knows? Is there any marine parks in Indonesia? I'm sorry, I didn't do the research.
There is
Before.
Bunaken.
Sorry? Sorry?
There is Bunaken in Sulawesi province.
Sunaken?
Bunaken.
How to spell it?
Bunakan.
P-U?
B. Beta.
Okay, Punaken?
Bu. B.
B?
Yes.
Yeah, Bunakan.
B for Bandung?
Yes.
B, yeah? Bunaken?
Yeah.
Now, we have a lot of islands. Of course, Indonesia is have like thousands of islands, right? And most marine parks is actually an island. So what marine parks do? Why it is gazetted as a park? Okay. Now, if you understand why some places are gazetted as a park, it's because the objective, you have to understand the objective of government gazetted it as a park. When you gazette as a park, meaning that legally, if you do not according to the rules and regulation of the parks, you can be sued. Okay, you can be brought to the court. Now, there are rules and regulation in the parks. For example, you cannot fishing. You cannot fish about 2 nautical, I think, 2 nautical from the island, for example. So the objective is actually to preserve the area. Plus, it's inside the rules, yeah. The objective of any of the parks want to preserve plus to also increase visitation. Okay, so this is actually where I see the problem is. Now, when you want to preserve something, but at the same time, you also allow people to visit. Okay, we allow to visit, but of course, people who visit have to follow the rules. Well, with humans, some of them are quite ignorant. don't even bother about all those rules. Yeah. So what, for me, these two things, preserving with increased visitation is actually a conflicting with each other. So what I do is, in the problem statement, I mention about problems or issues. This one I call not issues. This is problems actually. Okay, the problems arises from human activity. Okay, when you allow, visitation, right? So the activity from the human have give problems to the park. Now, what are they trying to preserve in the marine parks? In the marine parks, what are they trying to preserve are the corals, of course. The coral reefs. So the corals is actually very, very sensitive, and human activities will definitely have an impact on the corals. So I did mention that it's already happened in, I choose, we have like 42 marine parks in Malaysia. I choose a sample of 3 marine parks to represent all the marine parks in Malaysia. And one of the marine parks is actually having a very severe problem from human activity because it's a very small island. The corals is from 1 kilometer um, pantai. It's already that. You can't really see corals anymore when you go for snorkeling. So that's how I raised the issue. So the issue, I said, because actually human activity brings harm to, so as you can see how I make the flow, how to do the flow. We talk about tourism, it's good for the country, it will bring, all this you will mention. The tourism industry is good for the country and everything. And then we say there are so many types of tourism, and one of the is visitation to the marine parks. But unfortunately, the marine parks, when you open up to visitation, will be some problems to it. So actually, when we want to impose an entrance fee, now there are reasons why you want to impose entrance fee. For example, because you want to reduce visitation. When you charge people to go in, some people who are not willing to go in will not go. Okay, will not go. That's the usage of economic things. Yeah, this is the economic way of trying to reduce visitation. And second, it can also increase the government revenue. Oh, why we need to increase the government revenue? And we were saying, if the entrance fee, if we impose the entrance fee, and this money from the entrance fee can be used, can be used to at least maintain good practice of marine parks. Okay, so the flow mentioned about the problems and why we need to do this impose the entrance fee. And of course, you also can mention that entrance fee is not something new. Other peoples have also done it. Okay, it's just that maybe why Malaysia haven't done it, and you want to know how much are people are willing to pay to at least for us to know the right, to know the right amount of entrance fee to charge. Okay, that's it. Okay, so this is then you already come up with the research question. Okay, come up with the research question. Okay, and then of course right after research question, just go for the objective to answer the research question. Okay, that's it. Anybody wants to raise anything or want to ask questions? Anybody wants to ask any question? No? No? Okay, I'll proceed with the second example. Now, the second example here, what is my willingness to pay for improving water quality? Well, this is, okay, never mind. Can I write another example which is a little bit different? Impact of business information and business networking. On the performance of social enterprises in Pakistan. Okay, this is a topic of one of my students. He haven't graduated yet, still struggling right now. Now, if you see most of the time for a thesis, the title should be very clear and very straightforward. Okay, it's going to be a little bit different if you are writing for a journal, for an article. Okay, and for an article you can create a very creative and very nice wording. You can have like questions, in terms of questions. That's for an article. But most of the time, okay, it's not wrong actually for you to have a question in terms of question for the title, but most of the time it's much easier, much straightforward for you to do something that very, very straightforward. And here it is already very clear what you want to study. Very, very clear. One, you can see that this study is actually wants to see the performance of social enterprises. Okay, performance of social enterprises. But okay, the performance is one lah, the performance. But what are the variables that have the impact on the performance? Okay, we have a lot, of course. We have a lot of factors affecting the performance of any businesses. But for this study, we are going to concentrate only on two. That is business information and business networking. Business information and business networking. So how I asked my student to go for the problem statement. So in the introduction, okay, I asked the student to how you're going to introduce. Is actually talking about the social enterprises. Okay, you can mention all the social enterprises in the world first. A broad perspective. And a broad perspective. Okay, what is going on? Why actually social enterprises become one of the type of enterprises that is in the highlight right now? A lot of people actually, especially in the developed country, they give emphasizes on social enterprises. So why it becomes a highlight, or what's happening in the world, the success stories of the social enterprises in the world, in anywhere in the world. And then only you can narrow it down to and of course in here you have like the definition of the social enterprises, all those things. Okay, you have to put everything in. I'm just giving you the broad idea, yeah? How you're going to narrow it down. So, and then maybe after that you want to talk about in social enterprises in Pakistan, because he's doing it in Pakistan, right? In Pakistan. Okay, so is there any definition of social enterprises in Pakistan? Is it acknowledged by the government? Is there any government effort to increase the social enterprises in Pakistan? Those kind of things. So when you want to go into the problem statement. Okay, so how are you going to raise a problem statement is actually, I'm saying that, as a business, you know, as a business, yeah, to survive. Okay, I think there is a data of, how many percent of a startup business, a startup business survive. How many percent survival? The survival of businesses. Well, I think it's might be like a little bit less than 50% of business who start and then fail. A lot. So the survival of the businesses, and I'm saying that for a usual business to survive is still hard. It's hard to survive. Yeah? Because of the very, very big competition. And what more if it is, what more if it is a social business, and the survival, because we are concentrating on enterprises, so meaning that are very, very small businesses. So you have to mention, for the enterprises to survive is very hard. And what more if it is a social business? Social means they are not, the objective of the business is not only for profit, meaning that the objective is one of course for profit. But beside profit, the objective is actually also to do some social uh, uh, obligation, social obligation. Right? So you have to maintain these two to be known as a social business. So we're saying that actually, even for a normal business is hard to survive. What more for a social businesses or social enterprises? Yeah? And that's why we are curious to know how those social enterprises right now that are surviving right now, how social enterprises that are in business now survive, right? How they survive. And we are concentrating on, okay, whether because they survive, why they survive. Is it because they have a good networking? Or how they use information? Right? Of course, there are some others, but this is how you want to relate those things, okay, and go until where you are going to. Before I forgot. Now, one thing that, well, not one, I think more than one of my students do this mistakes. The mistakes that you cannot do is, mistakes, okay, which you cannot do. All right. Now, some of you, while writing for this, you are already answering your objective in the problem statement. Maybe you don't realize it, but of course, while writing, of course, you don't realize it, but we're going to realize it. No, you already make conclusion to your objective. Some of the while putting all this, we just want to see whether there's a networking. The way you write it, you were saying, okay, a people, a business who have good networking have a higher chances of surviving. Don't you ever mention that, because actually that is what you want to find out. Okay, that is what you want to find out later. So you cannot conclude that in your problem statement, right? So some of you forgot about that. There's a few from my 15 students, like 3 to 4 of them do the same mistake. This is not something that you should be ashamed of. It's okay. This is a process of learning. All right. So what you need to remember is, don't you conclude what you want to find out. Okay. If you want to find out whether business networking have an impact on the performance, don't you ever mention in the problem statement that from the literature that you read, networking has a positive impact. Now that is already answering your objective. I hope I'm pretty clear about that. But things that I want to highlight. So far, I think can I give back the class to Bu Wiwi? Bu Wiwi, are you there? I want to stop first. Bu Wiwi, are you there?
Okay. Bu Wiwi.
You are muted. We can't hear you.
Pak Wiwi dia ya.
Can you hear me
Ada
now?
Bapak Wiwi.
Yes.
Okay. Baik, I will summarize in bahasa Indonesia ya. Jadi apa yang, is it okay? Speak bahasa Indonesia kan?
Okay, no problem. Ya.
Oke, jadi intinya hari ini adalah bagaimana kita membuat problem statement ya, problem statement di dalam riset ya, di dalam riset. Nah, ada beberapa hal yang ingin saya garis bawahi, menurut saya sangat menarik ya tadi contoh yang diberikan itu. Karena banyak dari kita itu belum bisa membuat rumusan masalah penelitian itu dengan baik gitu ya. Jadi yang pertama itu yang harus diperhatikan adalah kita memulai sesuatu dari melihat permasalahan, kemudian masalahnya itu bisa aja kita dapatkan dari pengalaman pribadi atau rasa ingin tahu yang tinggi. Misalkan contoh nih, beberapa waktu lalu saya ketemu dengan dokter yang mengatakan, dokter yang bukan paru ya, katanya, oh pasien saya di rumah sakit itu cuma 2-3 pertanyaan saya, Bu Wiwi, where are these people? Apakah mereka benar-benar yang selama ini pasien saya sehari 20, sekarang tinggal 2, kemana perginya di pandemi COVID ini? Apakah mereka itu benar-benar sudah sembuh sehingga tidak datang menemui dokter lagi? Nah, itu contoh ya, masalah curiosity, rasa ingin tahu, where are these people? Apakah karena COVID mereka jadi sehat atau mereka nahan sakit? Atau selama ini mereka datang ke dokter itu sebenarnya bukan sakit, gitu kan? Oke, so that's something curious. Kemudian kita mulai dengan sesuatu yang umum ya. Jadi ingat, kadang-kadang dalam memilih tema pun kita tidak terlalu spesifik. Jadi misalkan dari mikro tadi sampai ke polusi ternyata masih luas banget ya. Jadi pilih lebih spesifik lagi, polusi air, polusi udara, atau polusi tanah misalkan dan seterusnya. Oke, kemudian tadi yang menarik, yang saya rasa saya tidak mengulang yang lainnya, itu adalah kesalahan lain yang sering kita buat dalam problem statement itu adalah kita sering menyimpulkan. Jadi misalkan begini, oh kita melihat lesson learn dari yang social enterprise, jadi perusahaan yang apa ya, perusahaan bergerak di bidang sosial itu yang survive di era pandemi COVID, tetap bisa memberi bantuan, tetap bisa, itu apa? Oh, kemudian kita katakan bahwa oh itu karena mereka mempunyai jaringan yang kuat. Nah, itu berarti kita sudah menjawab permasalahan kita gitu. Nah, itu harus hati-hati di dalam membuat problem statement. Okay, now I give opportunity for students for participants to ask question. Silakan. Anyone?
Okay, I want to ask a question.
Sure.
To Miss Siti Aznor, I want to ask what the importance of research gap or phenomena gap in our research. That is, we must have this research gap to first from we start our research, or this is something else. Thank you.
Okay. Is my mic on? Yeah. All right. A good question, actually. Now, there is a different way of writing. I'm talking about writing, the research gap. For economics, actually, we don't really put the research gap in the problem statement. But I just realized that because our university, our school is under the management also. How people in management, they will always put the gap inside the problem statement. Well, it can become one of the they were saying, but that is not how I would put it things in, because when you put because of the gap, meaning that your contribution is only to increase more literature. What is that contribution is all about? Because I already also have one master students in my class, because I'm teaching also research method. When I ask them to put the research problem, the problem statement, what she did is she raised that actually the reason why she wants to do this research is because there are like contradicting right now in the literature. Some of them agree, some of them don't agree. So I said, you are only going to just add in whether you agree later on when you're finding. Okay, you find whether it's positive or a negative. You're just going to add one more paper that say you agree with the statement or you don't agree with the statement. That's it. So what is actually your contribution? It's nothing. For me, it's nothing. You're just going to add in. Right now, let's say there are 15 saying that you don't agree, and then 5 agree. If you agree later, then you just add going to be 6 agree. That's all. Unless now the gap. Now the reason why the gap is important for you to see is actually for you to do something different from what is already available in industry right now, what is already in the literature, what people have done. So the gap is actually for you to find what is your difference between your research with whatever is already available, what other people have done. That is all the gap. Of course, it is also important because you don't want to repeat what have been done by others. That is not very good, of course. Okay. If you say, okay, for example, like I'm become examiner, I say, why do you want to do this? A lot of people have done this. So what is the uniqueness of your research? Why is it different from the others? That is where the gap is. I hope I answered the question. Thank you, Pak Danny. Back to
Thank you
you.
very much, ma'am.
All right, back to you, Dr. Wiwi. Oh, Wiwi, don't forget your mic. We can't hear you. No, it's mute.
Yeah, okay. Sorry. Okay. Well, there is a culture. Ada yang mau bertanya lagi nggak? Silakan. Bahasa Indonesia boleh.
Ya, boleh.
You know, there is a common practice about problem statement. Yeah, after stating all the phenomena as you mentioned earlier, like for example, there is a for example about the visiting the park. There is a that human visit can generate income. On the other hand, they cause damage, yeah, to the park, yeah. Do we have to, after stating all those stories, do we have to state our problem statement in one sentence? And how we are supposed to state our problem statement? How to formulate the problem statement? Maybe I'm representing my student.
Okay.
I don't ask question.
No, actually, the problem statement itself, it's not really to have one sentence. You know, at the end of all, you will state, yeah, of course, you will like do a very small conclusion. You were saying, this is why you want to do this research. That's what you're going to do, a very small, before the research question. You will mention, this is why you want to, do this research. Why you want to find out this kind of thing because of blah blah blah, right? And so that it can help for example, like my entrance fee, you know. So we want to know the willingness to pay, therefore, because I already post all those things, therefore it is important I think it's important for me to find out the real willingness to pay, so that we can charge the right amount of fee to the visitors, and to obtain the objective. So that's all. But that one is just mentioning that this is why we are doing but the problem statement itself, it should be that story, giving you the all the issues that being raised.
Yeah.
It should be the whole thing. But before you end, normally you will say, now this is what I'm going to do, why I'm going to do it. But actually you already mentioned all of it up there.
Okay. One question. There's one question from my student.
Yeah,
I will read it
okay.
out, yeah. I would like to know your point of view if we could use a brainstorming session inviting our classmates and even our lecturers and professors as the first step in order to have an overview about the issue we want to tackle. Do you think it's a good option? If yes, why is underestimated by the researcher? Why don't they use it? Okay.
Okay, as my question is, one is very difficult for you to gather people just to ask them questions, even because when we do our research, we call it like a focus group discussion. That's what we call a focus group discussion. You want to get, for example, you take all the stakeholders, maybe the student, the lecturers, or anybody who's involved in the area that you have in mind, for them to be in one place, and then for you to get their opinion. I think it's not that easy. But of course, some of the students, what they can do, they can just go and visit what we call an expert in that area, maybe some lecturers or professor, to get their opinion. And the reason why, because we believe their knowledge in that area is very vast. Okay, but for me, that is also one way before you do your well, for me, that is kind of shortcut, because you get straight away the problems that you want to do. But for the others, normally for me, I will ask my student to read, meaning that for you to even to come up with a title, even for you to come up with a title, you need to read like hundreds and hundreds of articles for you to get an idea. Okay, this is what people done. A lot of people have done this, so maybe I don't have to do this one. I have to do some other things. We get it from literature. And from my experience, I spent the first 6 months to just get really to make decision, to decide on my title. I spent 6 months of reading thousands and thousands of articles just to make sure that I got the correct title. And of course, like I mentioned, so that should be a kind of shortcut, because you already go to those who are already familiar with the topic. Okay, they have a lot of reading already. Rather than you read on your own, you go and ask people who have read them. That can also be a good way. But like I said, sometimes, to get to get people to cooperate with you, that's going to be not very easy either. I hope I answered the question. It's okay, actually. It's okay. It's also a good way.
Yeah, all right. It's good. It's a good way of doing it, because cara mudah ya kalau lagi cari ide itu kita berdiskusi dengan teman-teman. Jadi kan biar yang misalkan si A udah baca 10, si B udah baca 100, jadi nanti kita gampang melihat peta dari apa yang mereka baca. It's a good way ya. Cuman tadi pertanyaan why don't they do it if it's a good practice? Karena susah mengumpulkan orang dalam satu waktu. Semua orang sibuk. Tapi catatan penting tadi dari Dr. Aznor bahwa sebelum menulis harus baca ratusan, hundreds of article ya, bukan 10-20 ya, hundreds. Bahkan tadi 1000 within 6 months ya. Jadi jangan baru baca 2 artikel udah mau nulis judul gitu ya. Okay, thank you, Dr. Aznor. Sometimes we want to finish quickly, but we don't have a. Tapi one way, salah satu cara untuk mengurangi effort kita di dalam mencari ide, yaitu tadi ngumpulin teman-teman dengan interest yang sama, having a discussion with your professor, and so on. Okay? Good.
Yes. One thing about doing, I always tell my students, there are no shortcut in doing a PhD. That's why the patience need to be there. You can't say that you want to finish it as early as possible. So I'm not so sure about the others, but if you do it with me, I will say no. I will say you can't have a shortcut. I want you to go through the process. Actually, this process is the one that will makes you more matured. And will make your brain works better. Actually, this process. Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Back to you.
Alright. Jadi tidak ada shortcutnya jalan potong ya. Kalau mau menjadi dokter tuh, jadi tetap harus membaca. Ya, membaca itu adalah PR utamanya. Oke. Ada lagi pertanyaan? Okay, if there are no more questions, I think we have enough session for today, Dr. Aznor. It was very great. Yeah.
I hope I do help a little bit.
Yes.
The students. That's all that I really hope you guys get something, from me. But like I mentioned, you can read You can go to as many sessions as you can, but when it comes to writing, everybody will face the same problem. You will only know the problem when you write. You can't solve any problem by listening. You have to write, then only you know. Write, write, and write. The tips I should give is actually, if you are studying right now, don't you ever forget. Please always keep in mind what you are doing. Okay. And for me, because I went overseas, yeah, so I will feel guilty if I didn't do anything in one day. If I'm stuck, because, for example, you feel so lazy, what I did, at least I read articles. If you can't find yourself to write, okay, if you can't find yourself to write, at least read something. But the best way is for you to write at least one paragraph a day. You have to write something, at least one paragraph a day, for you to go on, okay, for you to have that consistency. You have to do that, because once, for example, if you leave it alone for a week, for you start away again, ya, katanya apa tu, nak masuk gear, to get the gear back, then it will take some time again. It will take some time again. So this is all like, for these 3 years, at least 3 years. For at least 3 years, you really have to have all those are always at the back of your mind. And one more that I also want to give advice is, if you got stuck, seriously stuck, don't you force yourself. Okay, this is from my experience. This is how I do it. If I got stuck, even though in the morning, if I already started in the morning, if I got stuck, what I do, I will just shut down my computer. Well, I did what I did, because for women, what we do things to make us happy. I go window shopping. Of course, we don't have money. I'll just go for window shopping for a while. Put aside this thing. Don't you try to force yourself to think. Go and do something else, and then come back fresh. From my experience, when I got stuck, sometimes I just sleep, and then the other day when I wake up, suddenly I got an idea, because I start fresh. Because if you keep pushing yourself when you are stuck, actually you still are in the dark. Okay, if you are in the dark and you push yourself, you will be in a darker places. So what you should do is shut it down first. Don't you think about it. Do something. Go for sports. Go for hiking, go cooking, or go for shopping. Anything. Don't think about it. Think about something else that makes you happy, and then come back and then start fresh to think about the one that you got stuck. Inshallah, sometimes just a very simple idea will come to you that can solve that problem. Okay, because when you are, I'm afraid that people were saying like what a PhD is. Permanent head damage, for example. People will always make jokes about PhD. So we also want you to finish your study with a good health. Yeah. So take care, everybody.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, Bu Wiwi.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Aznor. It was a very wonderful sharing for us. Jadi tadi ya, rahasia sukses to finish your PhD within 3 years. Untuk yang sedang nulis yang sedang S3, untuk yang sedang menulis, jadi harus dicatat di dalam memori kita bahwa kita sedang ada tanggungan pekerjaan. Menulis artikel, menulis proposal, kemanapun kita pergi. Jangan pernah satu hari pun tanpa mengerjakan sesuatu. Ketika kondisi paling malas pun, itu adalah kondisi termalas kita adalah membaca artikel. Jadi kalau lagi ada rasa malas ya baca artikel gitu. Katanya minimal 1 paragraf sehari. Maksudnya kan itu kondisi sangat malas loh ya. sangat malas. Jadi malas adalah membaca artikel. Jadi every day tidak ada hari yang dilewatkan tanpa membaca. Kemudian kecuali kita memang benar-benar stuck banget, artinya otaknya udah nggak bisa berpikir karena kan terlalu overload gitu lah. Itu kita perlu relaxing, tapi jangan dipaksakan karena nggak ada gunanya juga ya. Jadi itu rahasianya. Kalau mau menulis banyak artikel, mau cepat selesai PhD-nya, okay, you have to read and read and read and never stop giving effort every day. Effortnya harus every day ya. Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Aznor, long way from Malaysia. I hope you're always healthy ya. Thanks also.
Inshallah, same to you ya Bu Wiwi. Long time no see. I miss you guys actually. And thank you for all the participants in this lecture. Hope maybe see you all again. And my doa, actually my doa for all of those who are still struggling with your study, inshallah with success. Yeah. Thank you very much for having me here.
Okay, thank you very much. So I think we end this session by saying Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Dr. Aznor, thank you once again. We wish to see you again in the future.
All right, thank you.
Warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
I will send the invitation letter, yeah, Dr. Aznor, and your
Yeah, sure.
And
all
your
right. My WhatsApp is fine, or my email is also fine.
All right. Okay, I will do so. Thank you, everyone. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam. So I'll be leaving. Bye.
Bye. Leave meeting ya.